Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Cohen, and I'm going to be your instructor for this semester for COMM 654 Social Marketing. This is just an intro to the class. Funny enough, I mean, I have this PowerPoint presentation. You're not normally going to get PowerPoint presentations, but I had just done one for my undergraduate class, and I was like, oh, I could quickly do the same thing here. So what I've basically done is I've taken little snapshots from your syllabus, which you can get if you'd like to follow along on eCampus. And I've just put them in here to just go over some of the highlights of the class. And hopefully this will help you do your syllabus quiz and just kind of get like the vibes of the class. Um, so yeah, let me just start with quick introduction of me. I am, like I said, I'm Elizabeth Cohen. I in my free time, I like to watch a lot of TV. I also like to hike. Um, I am what you would consider academically as a media psychologist. So I use psychological methods to study people's responses to various media. The reason I teach this class is because I have a lot of health communication background. So a lot of my work has focused on how the media, how messages in the media encourage people to adopt different types of behaviors that would be healthy for them. I also study things like the stigmatization of mental illness in the media, or things in the media that can help fix that. Various topics like that. Um, and I've been at WVU for since, gosh, wow, yeah. So it's coming up right on 13 years here. So since 2012. And I also really like animals a lot. I've got three dogs, two of them. Let's see if I can show them right there. Two of them are right there. Oh, wait, it got kind of spread out there. One of them, I don't know. So oh yeah, you can see her. So I know it looks like she's cold, but she's actually really, really happy. She's a Great Pyrenees, and they just really enjoy the cold. She watches the chickens, which you can't see. I have a bunch of chickens. They're locked up today because, fun fact, chickens really hate the snow. Like if I would let them out, it's just like, I don't know if it's like their visual system or what, but like they're just like, no white stuff, please, none of that. And then I got that's eggnog. So these are all my little companions. Yeah, I really enjoy the animals. And so yeah, so that's me. Um, so now actually I just realized, it was like I made this thing about health communication. You're like, what does that have to do with anything? Because I signed up for a social media class. Um, I know not all of you are in this boat, but every semester without fail, I have people who will say something that gives me the impression that they thought that they were taking a class on social media. Now, I vaguely remember I sent you guys an email all about like the book and stuff like that. So maybe that perception has already been corrected. But nonetheless, just to sort of drive the point home, I just want to say this is not a class on social media. It's a class on social marketing, which is something that really predates social media. Social marketing is, and you can see, I took some screen grabs from just various websites. If you just Google social marketing, you'll get UNICEF first, or I did, Wine Rock Communications, Wikipedia, so these are all the various sort of like definitions of it. But the thing they all have in common is really it's the application of like regular marketing principles, like the principles that people in the advertising industry use to try to sell a product to you. It's taking those principles, but trying to apply it to non-commercial endeavors. So persuasion through marketing that is for the public good. So that's why I associated it with public health. It doesn't have to just be public health, though. I mean, it could be anything that is geared towards just trying to better society. But I want to emphasize this a lot. It is not for profit. The reason I say that is because a lot of times when people are trying to think about like what they want to do in this class, like an issue that they want to look at, it can get confusing, right? Because you could say like, well, I think that sports are a good thing for the public good because it encourages people to exercise and things, and 100%, like, participating in sports or participating in different community activities, that's great. But if you want to do a campaign that's like trying to get more butts in the stadium, that's not a social marketing thing. That's the type of thing that, like a university would be interested in doing, or so like a professional sports team or something like that. So those are all for-profit motivations, but the things you want to think about for this class are things that can it that where a large group of people need to be encouraged to do some sort of behavior, and behavior is a really important component of this too. It's not just an attitude, right? You so like here's an example, breast cancer awareness, we're all familiar with like the pink ribbons and everything like that. That's a good goal. And pink washing is its own thing and sort of tied with like for-profit marketing too. But the idea of like raising money for breast cancer awareness and teaching people that like breast cancer is a thing is of course very important. Social marketing, though, goes one step ahead. Social marketing wants some sort of behavior change. It wants people to go and get mammograms, for instance, right? It wants to show people that if maybe they were resistant to doing something before, that actually this behavior is more convenient than they thought, or cheaper than they thought, or whatever sort of holding them back. It's analyzing what is it that makes people want to do things that are good for other people or good for themselves. Sorry, Jolene probably sees a deer or something. I'm not everybody's. If they get too wild, I'll just pause it. No, Fergus, 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 Fergus. Come here, Fergus. Okay, maybe I'll just mute. Come here, honey. Come here. Hold on one second. We were doing so good. I've already done like 3 of these videos and nobody had made a peep. Um, So anyway, yeah, the point is like breast cancer awareness would be a type of social marketing campaign, but it doesn't really go to that next behavioral level. So as you're thinking about topics you might be interested in, be thinking about that. I do, I mentioned I have chickens. Some research I'm actually really genuinely interested in doing because, avian influenza is kind of a big thing. I mean, it's been a big thing for a while, but there's a lot of backyard chicken owners like myself where we're not like really in it for, you know, industry related reasons. I'm not trying to, raise 30,000 chickens to lay a bunch of eggs or to produce meat. They're kind of like my pets. I mean, we get eggs and everything. But I like having them. That said, they are at risk for avian influenza. Like they can contract it, and I don't want that to happen because, I'd lose my chickens, but also I don't want to be a conduit for that. And there are all these biosecurity measures that backyard chicken keepers can take to protect their flocks. And that's the type of thing that I'm interested in helping other people implement. So I would might, for instance, if I was taking this class, want to design a campaign on how I can reach backyard chicken keepers to have them implement certain biosecurity measures, like maybe where, not having visitors over to the flock or having them wear like shoes and stuff that like prevent whatever. I don't need to get into to the details. This is my own thing, but again, that would be considered a social marketing campaign because it would be implementing some sort of behavior for the health and safety of public health and chicken health, poultry health, whatever, So anyway, that said, and I'll just end on this, even though I'm making a big deal about how it's not social media, because people just think if it has social M in it, it must be whatever. Social media can be a part of social marketing, obviously. A lot of the channels that people use to send these messages could be social media related. But I want you to know going into this class that we're not going to focus much on social media specifically. Like this isn't a theory about social media. It's more about theories of behavior change, like the psychology of persuasion, sort of, and also campaigns, like kind of the steps of how you might think about going about a campaign. And like I said, social media can be a part of that, but that's not going to be the main area of emphasis. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty then about what to expect from this class and how it's going to operate and all that stuff, all that good stuff. Firstly, how to contact me. Email. I mean, like that's it. If you need anything, reach out by email, and then we'll just figure out what to do from there. I have office hours. I hate office hours. Like the whole idea of it seems like really archaic to me in a time when anybody can be contacted at any point, especially for like on online classes, it's just kind of weird. Like I don't like the idea of making myself just like available at one time a week when maybe you can meet or maybe you can't. I'm much more into me trying to be as flexible as possible with your schedule. And within reason, I can do that. Like, I don't like having meetings at 8 p.m., if I can avoid it, like sort of like during business hours. But besides that, my schedule is generally very flexible. So um, I just encourage you to just, even though I technically have office hours, the problem is I've got a bunch of students, like not just online, but on campus too. And if everybody came to my office hours, then everybody would be waiting. So I like to encourage my students to just, if you can give me just a little notice, I promise you we can probably work out something that works for your schedule. And you don't have to conform to my schedule or my weird office hours. So that's my preferred thing. Just send me an email and we'll work it out. Sometimes I might ask to meet with you on the phone. For this class in particular, I have found, and I've taught this class a lot now. I meant to count it before I started this video, but I didn't. But it's been like a while. Like I think I've been teaching this class at least like once or twice, or once every year or once every 2 years for about 10 years now. And I find that a phone conversation is wildly helpful in, asynchronous classes where we don't really have the benefit of being able to have these conversations in the classroom. And if you're struggling on a worksheet, I feel like I can sometimes just like help you go through the motions and figure out like where you're stuck in 5 minutes, as opposed to us having email exchanges for 30 minutes at a time for 5 different times. Like it gets like really crazy. And I sometimes appreciate just the opportunity to be like, hey, can we just talk for 10 minutes and like work this out? So that might happen, and I want you to feel free to do the same thing. Again, just email me and we can set up some sort of time to talk. And if you don't want to do it on the phone, we can do Zoom too, like this. I personally like to kind of walk around and like talk on the phone. You can see I'm always like doing stuff like this. So yeah. Um, all right. So I already told you about what the course is. It's about social marketing, blah, 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 blah. Now let's just talk about this for a minute. Can tell I'm into the hot pink, but to be fair, they did hot pink first. As I mentioned in the email, if you were registered for this class when I sent it in November, there is a more recent book that just came out, and I'm not using it because it will take me a long time to go through it and sort of like update all of my stuff. And they update this book a lot, which is a good thing. I mean, I think it speaks to how relevant the authors are, and they are like the gurus of social marketing. But also how relevant like social marketing practices are, that, this is a textbook that people want to keep buying and they want to update it. But for the record, really what the updates are predominantly are examples, like they're putting in more recent campaign examples, things like that. The basic principles of social marketing haven't changed in a long time. So getting this book from 2020, I promise you, not only will it save you money, but you're not like the information's not going to be like out of date or anything like that. So I'm just like, go ahead, get the cheaper version if you can. But if you get the more recent version, that's fine too. Again, it just might be kind of difficult to match up. Like sometimes in these new editions, they'll like have, it's like, oh, we used to talk about audience analysis in chapter 4, but now we're going to talk about it in chapter 3. So the page numbers will get all out of whack and everything, but um, it will not hurt you to get the newer edition. It just might be slightly inconvenient for how you follow along in this class. So I would just recommend getting the 6th edition if you can, and you might be able to rent it if that interests you. And there are online versions too. So whatever you need. I do think I will say this: people are always like, "Is the book required or not?" And I'm like, nothing's required. It's not like anybody's like going around and like checking if you got it or not. It's up to you. But um, for this class, I do think the book is extremely helpful. It's a really good book. And because of the type of assignments that you're doing, I do think it's just really helpful to just go in and just have this reference of all of these examples and explanations. So I guess as far as it being required, Yeah, I would say it is. You know, you should get your hands on it. And listen, if you get an older edition, same thing. Like, I think you'll do fine. I've taught from older editions before too, and you know, whatever, do what works for you, but try to get your hands on some book, okay? Um, oh look, when I took a cut and paste it, the cursor was in here. Sorry, that's sloppy, but um, okay, so let's just talk about like all the different components for the class, which I think is easier to see when you see what the assignments are and how the grade distribution is. Okay, so the first thing you got to do this syllabus quiz. Enough said. This week, please go on eCampus and take, you know, after you read the syllabus, after you watch this video, go and I think it's like 12 questions. I can't really remember. Maybe it's only 10. Do the syllabus quiz. You can take it as many times as you want, but make sure you get all of the questions right. Because the whole point is like, you know, I want you to know the information. So if you don't get it right the first time, take the quiz again until you like feel like you understand all the course policies and stuff like that. Okay, and then every week there's going to be some sort of assignment. A couple weeks we might skip an assignment if, like, let's say the assignment has a lot that it asks you to do. I might give you 2 weeks to do it, but generally you're going to have an assignment every week. And let me, hopefully I'll say this twice in the video because it's so important. I want you to just be prepared. This class starts very slow and then very quickly gets it, not that it accelerates, but it gets more demanding. Like the first few assignments are kind of, I'll just say it, they're easy. It's more of like getting your feet wet, doing introductions online. You take another little quiz that just asks you some multiple choice questions. Like, it's really cute. But then you have your first worksheet, and the worksheets are a lot more involved. They take a lot more background work. Like sometimes you need to do a little outside research. And they definitely take more time in terms of like thinking and writing. And it's the type of thing that you'll want to spend some time maybe looking at your book for. So, you know, just it's nice. Like our January is going to be kind of light. And then once we get to February, you're going to be asked to be doing some like more intense stuff. Now, the first worksheet, I'm like, you could go ahead and start working on that now. That's deliberate. So it's sort of like while you have kind of a light load, go ahead, start picking at that first worksheet so it doesn't like sort of like sneak up on you. I think that's a really good strategy. The idea with these assignments, again, they're mostly worksheets, is they're taking you through the steps of developing your own campaign. So this whole class is going to be like, okay, at the end of the semester, you should have a proposal, and you can see there the campaign proposal. That's what we're building up to. It's your final paper. You should have a campaign proposal that draws from all of the little assignments that you've done throughout the semester. If you play your cards right, and I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it because there's lots of things to do, but for the most part, if you play your cards right, and do pretty well on each of the little assignments, each of the little worksheets, then all you'll need to do for your final paper is kind of like meld them together. Like you'll have all of the little pieces you need for your paper. You'll just have to sort of, you know, kind of like finagle it so everything kind of works together, right? But you won't have to do a lot of extra work. All of the main work should have been done. And that's what I hope for you. So the first quiz that you're going to do, the first assignment, well, after your syllabus quiz, is going to be like the steps of social marketing. And that's going to give you an overview for all of these assignments that you're going to complete each week. The downside of this class, and I'll say this, sorry, he's being so heavy. Oh, you're a big baby. This is Fergus, by the way. The downside of this class is that because it's sort of like a step by step, you do one assignment, and then based on that assignment, you do your next assignment. Is like if you don't do great on the first assignment, then it's really difficult to do the second assignment. For that reason, I'm going to be giving a lot of feedback normally. So, because what I need you to do is like take that feedback that you did on the assignment this week so that you can build on it and do the assignment for next week. And the reason I say that's a downside is because a lot of the other classes I know you're used to taking in this program are pretty much like, okay, I had a bad week. And so, oh well, like skip, you know what I mean? I was just off that week. Oh well, write it off, do the next week. But this class, it's a lot harder to do that because the assignments really do build on each other. So just keep that in mind. Um, Anyway, but you can see like almost half of the points in this class come from those weekly assignments. So half of the battle is just doing those weekly assignments. They're all due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. You turn them in. I give you feedback on Monday. And then by Tuesday, you can start working on your next assignment, taking the feedback into consideration that I gave you. And then at the end, you put it all together in like one big campaign proposal. You kind of pretend like you're making this proposal maybe to some potential funder or some other organization that could use your social marketing services. And then the last week of class, it's kind of a proposal video presentation. I've started calling this a show and tell. I want it to be really informal. I want it to be like this, actually, where you're just talking into the camera. You don't even need a PowerPoint. You can have one if you want. You just talk in the camera. You just tell us about your project and just like if you keep it short, keep it fun. And that way people can kind of understand what everybody else in the class is doing. Because besides that, there's not a whole lot of interaction between students in this class. We don't do a lot of discussion board stuff. Most of this is like independent work. So that's kind of like a time at the semester for everybody to kind of be like, oh, that's cool that you were working on that the whole time, you know. Okay, so this is what like a day in the week of this course looks like. Basically, every week you're probably gonna like be assigned like a chapter or two to read. I'm gonna post usually some sort of summary lecture, and that's to help you sort of focus on the things that I think are the most important to get you through your worksheets. We aren't going to cover everything in this book. In fact, one of the things we're not even going to have time to cover is like all of the budgeting and funding stuff that has to go on. And the reason I decided that that's going to be the part to axe is just because there isn't like it's an imaginary budget. Like you can make whatever budget you want, you know. So I'm like, whatever. Like there's the sky's the limit. You can develop a campaign, you know, that's just whatever as much as big as you can dream is as big as your campaign can be. Okay, I'm gonna put this teddy bear down here. Get down there. Um, so you'll read a chapter, maybe watch the summary lecture. Some of you might not want to watch the summary lectures. Again, I don't even do PowerPoints. I just talk at you like with my face. Maybe you want to put headphones on so you can just listen and not even see my face. Totally understandable. But I've had students in the class tell me that like they didn't really need the summary lectures, and I'm not offended. It's more like people are different learners. If the book is too much, you might want the summary lecture. Maybe the summary lecture is all you need. I don't know. So just do what you need to do to get your worksheets done so that you understand them. And then you do those worksheets and turn them in by Sunday night. Again, by Monday, like by the end of the day, Monday, I should have feedback on everybody's assignment. You're going to just log back into eCampus. And I use Turnitin, which if you haven't used that before, it's kind of wonky, but I like it because I can just leave the feedback and then you automatically have it once it's there. You have to click on grade mark, there's instructions in the syllabus, and then you can see any comments that I left. And then the idea is you integrate any feedback I gave you on the next proposal. So you really got to read my feedback before you start the next proposal, but hopefully you can normally do that the next Tuesday. Again, like I said, there's some weeks where you'll have a little bit longer to work on your worksheets because like they're a little bit more involved, but that's the general rhythm of the class. So that's it. Those are the things that I think that gives you like the most general overview of what to expect from the class. So if you want to drop it, bye. No, hopefully nobody will want to drop it. I do, you know, there are, I'll just say there's a lot of frustrations with this class because understand if you're not used to thinking like a social marketer, like there are these rigid steps and they don't always make sense while you're learning them. Like, why do I have to choose this before why do I have to choose an audience before I choose the behavior? There's a behavior I want. Why don't I just choose, you know, things like that. But then a lot of students have told me over the years that once they put it into that final proposal, it all kind of clicks then. So there's an element of trusting the process in this, and I think it can be extremely rewarding, especially if you're, you know, spending the semester thinking about some sort of problem that, really means something to you. So anyway, here's a checklist of things you need to do this first week. Explore eCampus, get to know everything, read the syllabus. If you've, maybe if you're watching this video, you've already read the syllabus, great. Go ahead and read at least chapter 1 this week. And, so watch the summary lecture if you really want. It's again about all this, like, it's about the steps that I told you about, the steps that are going to end up being in your proposal. And then take that syllabus quiz and introduce yourself if you don't mind on the discussion board. I've already kind of introduced myself here, and obviously I'm missing a parentheses. That's going to happen a lot, boys and girls. But if you want to read some more about television shows I like, although I can never keep track of all the TV I like it is so hard. I try to update it, and I was like, God, I watch so much TV. I can't even tell y'all. But please introduce yourself, and it'll give you an opportunity, because the next thing you're going to need to do after you do the quiz for chapter 1 is pick a topic. And your first worksheet, if you want to go ahead and give that like a look, is going to require you to do some background research on whatever topic you choose. And, like I said, it's not abnormal for people to struggle with even the idea of like picking a non-commercial topic. So if you introduce yourself on this discussion board and want to kind of be like, hey, here are some topics that I think I might be interested in, like focusing my campaign proposal on, go ahead and do that. And I can give you some initial feedback to like start directing you so you can start generating that in your mind. Because it's not always natural. So please go ahead and do that, but you're not going to be married to anything. So if you want to pitch a topic and I'm like, yeah, that's great, that doesn't mean that has to be it. It just gives you a little bit of gives me an idea of the things you're interested in, and it'll give you an idea of if you're like thinking on the right path or not for what's good for social marketing. But that's it. So once you do that, you will have, successfully completed your first week, and we will be off to the races. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I've got several email addresses. One of them, at least, is listed in the syllabus. So looking forward to the semester.